Well, he's the one that said he's chasing the GOAT, Michael Jordan. Therefore, you do have something to prove in that regard. That's point number one. Point number two, listen, nobody's questioning it. LeBron is the best in the world. It's top 5 all time. Greatest small forward easily. Probably will end his career belonging on the Mount Rushmore. I'm not taking anything away. And people that support him need to stop being so damn sensitive. They need to understand that the only reason we're having these discussions about LeBron is because he's in the discussion of being one of the greatest ever. I mean, my God, that's so insulting to be considered one of the greatest ever. Calm the brakes, pump it, relax. Here's the deal when it comes to LeBron James. You joined forces in South Beach. You joined forces in Cleveland. The level of resistance compared to your predecessors, particularly somebody like Jordan, is a little bit different. See, Jordan's got those bad boy Pistons on his resume. Prior to that, he had Bird and the Celtics on the resume. And then when he won his first championship, he had Magic on the resume. And then he went up against Clyde Drexler and the crew in Portland. And then after that, it was Charles Barkley's MVP season in Phoenix that he had to go up against. Retired, tried to play baseball, came back and took out Shaq and Penny and Nick Anderson and 3D Dennis Scott and the crew. Then he went against Gary Payton and and Sean Kemp. And then after that, he went up against Karl Malone and John Stockton. I mean, my Lord. I mean, look, and then we ain't even getting to the Eastern Conference. The New York Knicks were no joke. Yeah, he was there, but because he was there was the only reason why the Knicks were derailed to some degree. You got to look at it. You got to look at Reggie Miller and the Indiana Pacers. I mean, everywhere you turn, it's resistance. That's not part of the problem that LeBron has. Is not about LeBron. It's about the level of resistance that has been posed against him. You know, he stacked the deck. He's got one of the top, got one of the top 10 players as a teammate that gets another one, etc. And the level of competition you're going against is suspect. That could never be said about Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. That can never be said.
Well, LeBron is right. He doesn't have anything left to prove if he hadn't said what Stephen A. said he said, which is that he's chasing the GOAT. He's chasing the ghost of the GOAT, Michael Jordan. So you can do everything just right. Doesn't mean you're better than Jordan, which he's not. And so when you ask what he has left to prove, if he's truly chasing Michael Jordan, and as I said, it looked like that ship had sailed after 10-11 against the Mavs, and then it kind of came back to port after the consecutive finals displays performances he just put on. It won in the loss against the Cavs with no supporting cast, and then won once he had the supporting cast against a 73-win, Warriors team. Now suddenly it's like, whoa, if LeBron can beat this team with Kevin Durant, now he's squarely back in the Jordan conversation. Here's the problem for LeBron. The most advanced metrics, like when you look at the most advanced numbers, the stats favor Jordan. In his prime, he was better than LeBron by the most sophisticated kind of numbers crunching you can do. The most cutting edge ones say, it's close, Jordan was better. And then anecdotally, Jordan never, won every finals in under 7 games. Every time he played a full season in his prime with the team, he won the finals. No one challenged him. Not a 63-win Sonics team, not a Malone Stockton Hornacek team, not a Shaq Penny 60-win team that went to the finals the year before. They couldn't take him 7 games. And for those who would say, yeah, but Jordan sometimes didn't get to the finals where LeBron's constantly getting there, the first time Jordan played with an all-star, he got to the Eastern Conference Finals and lost in Game 7 to the eventual champs when the all-star couldn't play in Game 7. Otherwise, they would have won. I'll say that right now. And the next year, they swept him once Pippen reached his prime. So that's who LeBron is chasing. Now, when you look at the Mount Rushmore, Stephen A., or the all-time list, already no one's going to argue, not most people, Duncan even, over LeBron. No one's going to argue Olajuwon over LeBron, Moses Malone, Elgin Baylor, Oscar Robertson. He's already considered better than those guys, Dr. J, and that level player, which is a super all-time great player. But obviously Jordan, and then of the non-bigs, there are still those who will argue Bird, although I think you lose that, Magic, I actually also think you lose that, and Kobe. I think already you'll lose all 3 of those arguments, but they still have their adherents. It's not like it's LeBron slam dunk, so to speak, over those 3 guys. And then you have the bigs, Kareem, Bill Russell, and Shaq, and Wilt. there are those who will argue those guys over LeBron. So what does LeBron have left to prove? That he is the second greatest player of all time, and he's striving to be recognized as the greatest player of all time. It's not that he's done anything wrong and he hasn't done amazing things so right. It's that when you're comparing yourself to Michael Jordan, being, oh my God, he does everything just right, it's not good enough. You have to be even better than that.
There's a difference between a great player and a great scorer. And the one thing that encompasses both categories is a winner. And to me, LeBron will never be a greater winner than Michael Jordan, no matter what he does, because of what it took for him to ultimately become a winner. Jordan withstood that better than LeBron did. That's the difference to me.
Well, as our friend Robin Lundberg, Stephen A. Smith, points out on SI.com, I believe it was, very recently, if you look at the effect that LeBron James has had on his team's win-loss records, it's profound, maybe the most profound in the history of basketball. He's on a Cavs team that wins 60 games, goes to the finals. He leaves their #1 lottery pick every single year till he comes back and they win the championship. I mean, and he leaves the Heat. They go from the dominant team winning championships back-to-back to, hey, will they even make the playoffs? So in terms of winning, he has had a profound
when he left
effect.
the Heat, they did make the playoffs.
Yes, but by the skin of their teeth.
They did make the playoffs, and they would have beaten Toronto in the playoffs if Chris Bosh didn't go down, and that was without LeBron.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda, but by the skin of their teeth.